We're back. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Level Up podcast, where we equip you with all the necessary knowledge to ensure that you get involved and become a part of the sector that is building the future. We've given you insight on many things, much like how the SETAs work, a little bit of insight on research and planning. We've spoken a little bit about grants, but I think today we need to get into something very necessary, which is, of course, ensuring that we plug all the gaps when it comes to skills development and ensuring that we speak about the transformation that's necessary to make SETA relevant with the upcoming changing times. Now, someone who is well equipped to give us all of this knowledge and really going out there, whether it be the most remote areas, the most underprivileged areas, or even those areas that you may feel like are disconnected with the rest of South Africa, they are going out there to ensure that they plug all of those loopholes and ensure that everybody's receiving the necessary skills development that they need in order to further their future. And of course, joining me today is Makhaya Blaai. He is the executive manager in the office of the CEO. Now, you can hear by that title, hore yay. This is a very heavy job, and I think you deal with so much that we'll touch a little bit on throughout. But let's talk about what it means to be executive manager in the office of the CEO. It sounds very loaded, especially on the workload and all the stuff that you do. But what does your day-to-day look like?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. My day is quite eventful.
Yeah, I feel like you've answered the phone 20 times before we even started.
There are a number of portfolios that we are working with.
Yeah.
One of them is the special projects, which encapsulate a number of business units under it. You've got your infrastructure development, enterprise and cooperative institutes. You've got your bursaries and the special projects themselves, which we engage, which is quite a plethora of them, divided in accordance with their work stream. So it's also strategic partnerships and collaborations with the different departments, NGOs, and other formations like your traditional councils, municipalities, quite a number of them, yes.
And in the previous episode, we briefly spoke about grants, mandatory grants, discretionary grants, and then, of course, special projects. For someone that may have missed that, can you give us a little bit of an overview on what you mean when you say special projects?
Yeah. Special projects are those projects that necessarily do not have to have accredited learning programs.
Okay.
They go beyond the call of your pivotal programs. And I'm going to give you an example.
Sure.
We are, as a country, currently facing what is known as a prevalent GBV.
Yeah.
We are running special projects around that, where we are promoting a behavior that discourages that. That's a special project. Other special projects are work integrated learnings, where those who have graduated, not necessarily doing a program that has credits, but required to be prepared for a work environment, we would run programs for them. Others are in enterprise development, where we work with small businesses, help them how to start up, how to run a business, how to identify market, how to sort out your internal affairs to be a functional and viable business moving forward.
And I can imagine that, it takes research to be able to understand where these gaps are and how you fill them. How do you guys ensure that you actually are finding the necessary needs to every community? Because sure, GBV is a national crisis, but when it comes to, let's say, an area in Lusikisiki, they may not have the same needs as another area in Ilanskral, for instance, in Limpopo. So how do you ensure that you determine that what you are giving to that community is what they need?
That's quite critical. By our nature, Services SETAs, the formation of our boards is representative of the demographics in the country. So our boards are made up of, firstly, the representative of industries for which we are responsible for, and then organized labor, who are representing interest of workers within those sectors, and then community representatives that are appointed by the minister. So by just composition, you can get a sense of that equitable representation. So on learning programs, The sector skills plan is formulated in consultation with industry. So the training we give is what the industry has identified itself.
Got you.
So which to make sure that there's relevance, so that you don't talk to industries that are not seeking training, which you are giving.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to special projects, we look at national imperatives. So the board from time to time would sit and assess what is happening in the country. What are the key issues plaguing, either the economy or societal issues? And then they would identify those. As a way of example, when we kickstarted our GBV campaign, we kickstarted it in a place called Inanda in KZN, just on the outskirts of Durban. If you go and look at the South African Police Service statistics, you would pick up that in the last reported period, Inanda recorded the highest GBV reported cases in all police stations in the country. So it was quite very important that we launch it there, working with the municipality of eThekwini. And then we identified some of the victims, where the families where the victims resided in, and we provided support to ensure that they are assisted in coping and they are given mechanisms beyond what they have suffered.
Right. And if I think about GBV, I'm curious to know what sort of skills development or how would that be aligned with the mandate of Services SETA to be working on such initiatives?
It is absolutely not aligned.
Okay.
It is over and above our mandate. As an institution, I think we've characterized ourselves as trailblazers, because this is not only the one thing that we do beyond our mandate, but let me talk about what our interest is on that.
Yeah.
I've indicated that, firstly, we've got a broader mandate of supporting government in general in responding to societal ills. Equally, the learners for which we are responsible in terms of development of their skills are coming from families. Remember that a family is a basic unit of society. Whatever that you see on society is a reflection of the different families that we have. Now, you can't deal with anything as a product when you don't go to the niche of where it comes from. So it makes perfect sense that we ensure that we do support that and overall support the government agenda in dealing with that.
Sure. And when it comes to prioritizing, I mean, GBV national crisis consistently happening, something like COVID comes up in conjunction with the GBV that does not stop because of COVID. How do you prioritize where you need to be allocating, one, the time, but also two, the resources?
There are competing priorities at any given time.
Yeah.
And then there is no one who can be everywhere at the same time. It is, of course, that at any point we will identify what is of paramount importance, take opportunities, and then target it. Mentioning of COVID, one of the things that we took as lessons from COVID is remote working. And one of our programs we are offering on enterprise and cooperative development is to help them with online services on how to function remotely as a business and make sure that you are able to run a successful business without necessarily interfacing
Right.
with your customers on a day-to-day basis. So because there's a plethora of issues that are competing by order of importance, we take one at a time. But for as long as in overall they contribute towards a general transformation and developmental agenda for our society.
We were having a little bit of a brief conversation off air, and you were talking about just how much you've traveled. And that's from, the most normal locations to the most remote of locations to be able to see what the needs of people are. What is a trend that you've sort of seen throughout South Africa that kind of gives Services SETA that push to say, okay, we really need to be at the forefront of skills development when it comes to your observation?
If you look at our country, our government has put in place measures to support young people to access education. They've put in place student fund schemes. There are universities, there are TVET colleges, but we've come to realize that not all are accessible to everyone. In this country, we still have remote areas, especially in the rural parts of our country, where young people still have to travel over 100 kilometers to access help resources or even education itself. One of the fundamental principles of education in the NQF system is promotion of access to education. And Services SETA deemed it fit that to ensure that those kids in rural areas have access to education, let us bring institutions to capacitate them closer. We then took it from that point where we started identifying such areas by looking at their proximity to the predominant towns. And we built skills development centers in those areas to ensure that those kids who are unable to go to universities after completing matric or accessing TVET colleges have a nearby skills development institute where they can develop for artisanal trades of different kinds. And it's not just fly-by-night qualifications that they would find there, because they are operated by either TVET colleges or our community education and training colleges to give credible certification for employability.
Yeah. So I'm struggling to grasp, I think, the gap in terms of, you saying that opportunities are there. Government has been, has provided all of these tools. It's just a matter of access. But would the gap still be big? Would we still be sitting at a 60% unemployment rate for the youth? If people just knew, I find that there has to be a bigger issue, perhaps that we're not getting to. And I think perhaps reaching them in these remote areas will assist. But I don't think that's going to cut down the 60% much more. What do you think, in your view and your experience, we are falling short on?
Well, our government, in their wisdom, put together a national plan which was adopted by the country called a National Development Plan 2030. In that document, we as South Africans are projecting a future society that we want to see by 2030. And to get there, there are a number of pillars which, if undertaken and implemented correctly, will see us there.
Yeah.
As an organization, we have identified from the plan what our role can be to support our government to make sure that we respond to that. And if all of us play our role in contributing to each one of them, we will certainly reach a better society over that period. We are still a young democracy. We are developing, and we still need to educate our citizenry to understand their rights and responsibilities and the role they can play in making it happen. As a way of example, one of the issues espoused in the National Development Plan is a projection of a future society that is able to produce artisans at a tune of 10,000 per annum. And yet we are not aware of a dedicated government institution that drives that program. We then, in partnership with a TVET college in the Free State called Muteo TVET College, we built a one of its kind National Artisan Development Academy in Bloemfontein, which has a capacity to produce the numbers as envisaged in the National Development Plan. So these are building blocks. And over time, if put in place and implemented, we are hopeful that our future and society will look better when you look beyond 2030.
And I mean, what, 32, if I'm correct, years after democracy? And it's 2025 now. We're looking to, 5 years until this plan. Where do you think we're looking, just in terms of strength of achieving this goal that we have kind of placed for ourselves? When it comes to the lay of the land, when we look at skills development, when we look at how things are increasing now, are we going to be able to reach those numbers per annum that you may have predicted?
The production of these artisans, yes, that's one I can safely say we will tick. But you would need to do a proper research to analyze the progress you would have made. Government work is quite vast. We've built through other departments a number of clinics across the country, the number of hospitals that have built, the number of schools. the infrastructure development across the country that seeks to put us in the better position. I can tell you now, 10 years ago, we never had a capacity to produce our own trains. But today in the country, we are producing our own trains that are to be used in our rail system. So we are gradually getting there. A typical example is the How train. We never had a train of that magnitude. And so we are, as a country, moving gradually towards being a developed country. And it will not happen overnight, but we are getting there.
So I want to quickly, before we move forward to just talking bursaries, hop on something you've just mentioned regarding the example you've used of the Gautrain. Now, when I think Gautrain, I think inaccessible to majority of South Africa. And I think that's an issue that we have throughout, is that all of these things in terms of development, making us a first world country in a third world continent, all of that is great, but who's it for? And I think oftentimes, even with, the ending of apartheid, sure, it ended, but who's still being impacted? Our minorities are still in remote areas, like you've mentioned, suffering, for lack of better words. So when we are advancing, are we looking at minorities, or is it just to say the general population?
I think that's a very key thing because it links directly to the area I spoke to earlier on building skills development centers in rural areas. There are universities that have been landmarks in many towns, and people have been traveling to go there. We thought, let's bring institutions of learning closer. It is an undisputable fact that the Gautrain in the current state is not accessible to the majority.
Yeah.
But we should not view that as a challenge, but as an opportunity of developing our transport network and look at business opportunities that may come as a result of this shortcoming that will also augment the existing economy. So there is opportunity for growth and development to ensure that we have a sustainable network in terms of the transport system, that a person without a motor vehicle can travel across the province with ease and without limitations of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that you mentioned on your very long list of the stuff that you do is, of course, bursaries. And I think that's very important for people to kind of hop onto this part, because that's what a lot of people rely on when it comes to furthering their education or developing and growing themselves. How are those allocated when it comes to bursaries? Is it, because I think with government, most people think, who do you know?
Yeah.
Or who do I know where that can get me what way?
Yes.
But how are those bursaries kind of allocated, and what do I need in order to qualify to even just be considered?
Yeah. The bursaries, like other functions I've spoken to, which I classified as not our primary mandate, is not our primary mandate. However, because of understanding the plight of our people and the overload on NSFAS, it is therefore important that institutions like ourselves make provision to ensure that we contribute towards easing the burden. The criteria we have is documented in policy, quite easy to follow. Firstly, you must be a South African. You must be unemployed, legible, wanting to study. We do have bursaries for employed as well,
Okay.
because not everyone who is employed can afford education. So once you've accessed it, you must make sure that you reach a certain threshold in terms of your marks to be able to proceed, so that it's not wasted on people
Yeah.
who are not having the drive to study. And our bursary includes the payment of your tuitions. We equip you with study material. That includes a once-off laptop with accommodation. We are aware that not all students are accommodated in university residences. So we do accommodate a portion of a accommodation allowance and meals to make sure that learners are able to go to school and feed themselves when they are away from home. So it's quite a transparent process, but the model we use, and to make sure that there's fairness and parity, We directly engage with institutions of higher education and training, universities and TVET colleges to say, on your list of applicants, identify students who are in need of bursaries and then give us the documents that are required for us to process them and to make sure that we assist. So it's proven to be quite working, because even the institutions, I think you would have seen, they are also complaining about the overburdenedness of debt and all those things. So through these interactions with them, we ease that burden, and at least they are guaranteed that they will get their money.
Absolutely. I think the main question for me would be turnaround time in that exactly, because I think oftentimes with many students when it comes to bursaries is that, sure, I've been granted the bursary and I've been approved and it's going to pay out, but when?
Yeah.
And we see students sleeping in libraries. We see students doing all of these drastic measures because my bursary didn't pay out. So is there some form of I don't want to say confirmation, but some form of reliability on your end to say, actually, we will pay out in the right time so that it's still not wasted on you?
You are correct. We've experienced that problem in the past, that we would approve learners or students for bursaries, and they would take time to get paid due to red tapes and many other logistical issues that are followed. We've taken a decision to change the model that we are delivering, because our understanding is that when a student applies for a bursary, it means they are in need of it for that particular time, and you can't delay the payment thereof. To circumvent this part of delays in payment, we do make sure that we issue a confirmation letter to institutions of higher learning to say, as an institution, we confirm that student X has been awarded a bursary by us. We are committing to pay for the following. Please do allow them to participate in processes whilst we are processing the payment with yourselves. Unfortunately, we've received much cooperation from universities that we don't have a student who can say, I was kicked out of an institution of learning because of payment. But ideally, we are looking at working towards a situation that we are able to pay this as early as possible for ease of everyone in the process.
And let's go into something that you mentioned, that you do strategy when it comes to, in itself, the office of the CEO. I can imagine that, the demands that you have may not be the same as other sectors, but when it comes to transformation and strategy within the office of the CEO, which will trickle down to other departments, where are you guys at in terms of ensuring that is moving with the times?
Well, transformation in our country remains a challenge.
Yeah.
And our role is to make sure that we drive it, make impact, especially in critical industries that predominantly you had the majority of our people being lessly represented. I'll give you an example of the property industry. We have now partnered with the PPRA, which is the Property Professions, the regulatory authority. We've partnered with them and the Department of KZN, Economic Development, Tourism, and Environmental Affairs. We have recruited just over 700 learners in the real estate industry, mostly from Africans, to make sure that we equip them with the necessary knowledge and skills to participate in the real estate. A few months ago, we were launching phase 2 of the project in Gungundlovu. And the testimonials we received, they were quite encouraging that indeed we are making the impact we want. Some of the learners from the program were already involved in deals at the tune of 3 million, which means they are becoming critical role players. Others are becoming principal agents in the area of real estate. So there are a number of industries that still, if you look at the demographic representation, they do not reflect in justice what we have in society. And our role is to make sure that we contribute towards bringing the less advantaged to be par with their counterparts.
And it sounds like a lot of research and planning goes into it to be able to know where you're supposed to be filling in these gaps. What are some challenges that you have faced in terms of ensuring that you implement your mission, ensuring that you implement the need for transformation within Services SETA? What are some of the challenges that you faced?
Yeah, firstly, I must confirm it's a lot of research. That is why internally we do have a research unit that troubleshoots for us to make sure where the areas are. One of the greatest stumbling blocks is resistance.
Okay.
Resistance to change. You would know that people are not very welcoming of change at first. So it needs you to be dedicated, driven, but equally show the good cause of the initiative you are taking to galvanize support from the people you intend to affect.
Sure.
Otherwise, if you don't tell what the benefits are, no one would want to take it up.
Absolutely. And lastly, Mr. Blaai, just word of advice for those that are watching right now and feel like, I've sent through so many emails, I've sent through applications, not getting approved. I want to be a training provider, I'm not getting accredited. Just as someone who, is sitting in the big office, the corner office, I would say, and is able to, get insight on what it is. So how would you advise people? It could be an employer, it could be a learner, it could be a benefit, it could be anyone that's watching this right now and feels like, okay, I really, really want to get involved. And I hear that these opportunities are there, but how do I unlock that for myself?
Yeah. As an organization, we pride ourselves of our values. One of them being that of professionalism and responsiveness. And we also concede that there will always be room for improvement. And when we have interfaced with yourself or your organization in any manner, be it satisfactorily or not, we do want to hear from your feedback from you to allow us to reflect and improve where there's a need to do so. We do have a hotline where if there are issues you need to report anonymously, you can do so on our website. But equally, we've got a customer care line wherein you can register your complaints that require management attention. These are monitored on a daily basis and reports are drawn from them every month, where we sit at the executive level to look at those reports and make sure action is taken. So we strive to be a very competent and responsive entity for our people, and to make sure that we remain an agent of transformation and a preferred entity to associate with in the quest for skills development in the country.
I think that's the perfect way to wrap it up, Mr. Makhaya Blaai. He is executive manager in the office of the CEO. He said it best. I think there will always be room for improvement, and that speaks to you as well. Get up, get involved, level up, and ensure that you find all those necessary tools. All our necessary websites will be on the screen below, but make sure you hit up that hotline. This is the one time I'm going to encourage you to snitch. Go on the hotline and let us know what some of those issues that you may have are, or where you feel like some skills development need to grow and be filled in the gap. This is your opportunity to do that. We are here for you to help you develop and grow and ensure that you become a part of the sector that's building the future. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you've actually come at the very right time, because I have an expert here to join me to give us a little bit of insight regarding how you can get accredited. I know that's the question on everyone's mind. How do you go about ensuring that you get accredited, that you have the right documents, and firstly, who can qualify? Now, joining me today is the Director of Accreditations at QCTO, Mr. David Thaga. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.
Yes. I think obviously everybody wants to know, because this is the part that either opens the door for you,
yes,
or leaves you waiting. And I think for many people, we know the likes of Umalusi, we know the others, but we're going to talk a little bit about QCTO, and I want to talk about the quality control councils that exist already before that, and then you can lead us into QCTO and how these work together.
Oh, thank you very much, Valerie. Yes, in South Africa, we've got 3 quality councils. The first one is Umalusi. Umalusi is taking care of NQF level number 1, number 4. It's actually mainly on the schools.
Okay.
And you also have the CHE, Council of Higher Education, that is looking for the from NQF level number 5 until to NQF number 10.
Got you.
So at QCTO, we are part of the sub-framework that is actually now focusing on the occupational qualifications, the part qualifications, and the skills programs.
So if we are looking at Umalusi's NQF 1 to 4, that's grade 9, I would assume,
Yes.
to matric. And then we have CHE, which is from the higher institution
Absolutely,
kind
until to the doctorate.
of, until doctorate. And then
Absolutely.
QCTO would then
Yes.
come in
Yes.
to kind of subsidize that. Now, the main question that
Yes.
we all have
Yes.
is, how can I get accredited? Now, we've spoken about grants, we've spoken about the importance of research and planning, we've spoken about, ensuring that you are in tune with whatever sector it is, but we don't know how to qualify.
Okay.
Can you open that door for us, please?
No, thank you very much.
Yeah.
The accreditation process of QCTO is very simple. And I'm going to simplify it now to the viewers.
Okay.
Accreditation is start at QCTO and it end at QCTO.
Okay.
So during the process, we've got the partnership with our quality partner, in this case, Services SETA. So we are actually now working together on this.
Okay.
Because we've got Vision 2027, whereby now we have signed a service level agreement with the quality partners for us now to have a common vision to assist the stakeholders that are interested now in getting the accreditation.
When you say common vision,
Yes.
what does that look like? I would assume you kind of have the same vision to kind of develop all these skills and give people opportunities. But what is that shared vision?
So that particular shared vision, as you know, that the vision of QCTO that we are sharing with our quality partners is for us to make sure that we qualify a skilled and a capable workforce. That is the main focus of the vision that the country actually need to look at.
Yeah. Now, I don't want us to go any further without asking the question on everyone's mind,
Oh, thank you.
which is, who gets accredited? Who can be the one that comes forward to be able to offer all of this training to individuals? Who gets accredited in that regard when it comes to offering all of these training services? Because we've spoken about the scams. We've spoken about the fly-by-nights that come forward and say, I can do it, but there's no background or there's no qualification for them to be able to offer those services. So who gets accredited in that?
Okay, thank you very much. Like you're saying, yes, we've got lots of the bogus colleges in our country. So to avoid that, we need to have the skills development providers that are accredited with the Quality Council.
Got you. So it would be the skills development provider.
Yes.
What if I think I'm a skills development provider? What would that be? That defining factor be to say, okay, you qualify, you don't? What would? Because I have a degree, so does that make me qualify indefinitely?
To be the skills development provider, that's whereby you are going to open up your own institution.
Okay.
So you need to have all the relevant requirements for you to be able now to get an accreditation. So like I said, you start now by applying online.
Right.
Then after applying online, you're going to get an acknowledgement letter that confirms that you have applied. Then after that, the next step is for you to upload the documents. You're going to get the link within 2 days, whereby you are going to upload all the legal documents. And QCTO is making it clear what legal documents are actually required to be uploaded. Then after they've been uploaded, now this next step is the desktop evaluation.
Okay.
The desktop evaluation, they're going to look into, did you upload all the required documents? And sometimes it happens that the stakeholder is not uploading all the documents, which is actually causing the delay of the process and all that. So we're encouraging the stakeholders that they have to make sure that all the legal documents that are required, they need to be uploaded.
Right.
So the next step after that is the desktop evaluation. So whereby now it's either you have passed the desktop because now you have uploaded all the documents, or you did not pass the desktop because now there are certain documents those were missing.
Yeah.
But the beauty is that now we don't just throw your application away. We've got a communication with the stakeholder that please make sure that you upload the documents so that you can be able now to proceed.
Okay.
Then after that desktop, this whereby now the site visit now is going to be planned. It is done by QCTO together with our quality partner, in this case, the Services SETA, we share the responsibility, as I've spoken about the Vision 2027, whereby Services SETA is taking the responsibility of the quality control. So the allocation that is sent to Services SETA, they are going to follow their processes to do the site visits.
Okay.
So they do the site visit. QCTO also, for their portion, they also do the site visit. So when the quality partner is done with the site visit,
Yeah.
they are going to quality assure the reports, because the site visits are done by the quality partner subject matter expert.
Okay.
So they are going to submit all the documents centrally, so at Service SETA, and there is somebody that is responsible at Services SETA to quality assure the report. Then after the report have been quality assured, that is whereby now the reports and the recommendations, they are going to be sent to QCTO. After they've been sent to QCTO, there is a committee at QCTO. It's called Internal Accreditation Committee. That is whereby now we are going to look into the recommendations. Those were done by the quality partner.
Okay.
And then from there now, the decision will be taken whether accredited or not accredited. Same applies to QCTO, subject matter expert. Also them, they're from 5.
Procedure.
That's the evaluation. It's going to be checked, and then from there it's also going to serve
Okay.
at the internal accreditation committee. Then from there the outcomes now it will.
Okay. This sounds like a very lengthy process, right? Because when you're going through all the steps, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
On average, how long would this duration take in order for someone to start the application?
Yes.
And then get results on whether or not they
Wonderful. The turnaround time is 90 working days.
Okay.
And this is how it is calculated. It is calculated after the last document have been submitted.
Right.
So let me just do this practical example. You load a document today, then you take 5 days and upload the other one, and then from there you take another 2 weeks, upload
Yeah.
the other one. It is actually now delaying. That is why the 90 days is starting immediately after all the documents. It's very important. After all the documents have been uploaded, that is where day 1 it is starting of the 90 days turnaround time.
And I think what's also important is that we see scams through small little things, and like asking for payment when submitting specific applications. Is this one of those where you have to pay in order to submit an application, or is it free?
No, at this stage it is free.
Okay, fantastic.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that's something that you can use as a nugget, because oftentimes these applications will say 250 Rand and
Yes.
will accelerate your
Yeah,
process,
yeah.
or 100 Rand and you'll get to the front of the line or whatever.
Yes.
Just go through the necessary procedure, go through the necessary measures, and make sure you're getting results back from you guys, because
Yes.
you have to approve, you have to send a letter back, you have to send confirmation back.
Yeah.
And if you aren't getting any of those things, then maybe you should be questioning whether or not it is legitimate or not. Why is it
Absolutely.
important for accreditation to happen, especially in such a nitty gritty kind of ensure that you're inspecting every single step? Why is that so important for learners that are going to be receiving all of this skills development?
So what is important for the skills development provider to be accredited? So when the learners, they go and attend at that particular institution, they know that this institution, it is accredited, and it is actually credible. So they'll be able now to to contribute into the economy of the country
100%.
because now they've attended at an accredited skills development provider.
I'm actually learning real things
Yes.
from real people that actually know
yes.
what
Thank
they're
you.
talking
Yeah.
about. And in terms of the confidence that it gives, when it comes to these training providers themselves to be accredited and go forward and give this information to people, what sort of kind of leg up does it give them?
So it's actually giving them the confidence that they are accredited and they are offering the accredited qualifications. And the beauty of this now, after the learners now, they went through the ASA, that's the External Integrated Summative Assessment certification. They are getting it now from QCTO. So it's actually now carrying a lot of weight of the kind of the qualifications that they're getting.
Like a khalela of accreditation, to be
Exactly.
honest.
And the beauty of the occupational qualifications is you are ready for the workplace because you do the 3 components, the knowledge, practicals, and the workplace component. So mean that after writing the ASA, because it is competency based, immediately you get your qualification, you are ready to start
Sure.
the work.
What are the key requirements that a provider must have in order to get accredited? Because I think there's many steps,
Yes.
but there's those key things that you need in order to say, okay, I'm at a point where I can now take the step
Wonderful.
to become accredited.
Point number one, you need to be a registered company.
Okay.
You need to have the CIPC.
Okay.
Point number two, you need to be tax compliant. Number three, OHS compliant, because there you are dealing with the lives of the students, the staff, and all that is really very important. The critical one is also the learning material, because now you cannot implement if you don't have the learning material.
Yeah.
You also need to have the qualified facilitators that can be able to implement this qualification. So it's really very important for you to make sure that you appoint the correct subject matter expert that will be able to interpret the curriculum document.
Sure. And in terms of, you mentioned the space in order to be able to facilitate all
Yes.
of this. What does site readiness look like? I want, people to be sitting at home and say, okay, ish, this one I need to work on this a little bit. This
Yeah.
one I may need to work on. But when it comes to like workplace agreements, site readiness, what is that supposed to look like to ensure that the process runs smoothly?
Okay, just in short, let me just take one example of the qualifications that you've got, the project management.
Sure.
So you need to have the classroom. The classroom have got the desks.
Yeah.
Have got the
chair.
chair.
Yeah.
Have got the whiteboards. Have got the projectors. That is where the knowledge module is going to happen.
Okay.
And then from there, for the practical modules, they can be able now to do some simulation there, all right? And then from there, the workplace, they need to go to the workplace to go and do the workplace modules.
Yeah.
So that is why it's important that before you can implement the occupational qualifications, you need to have the workplace in place.
Yeah.
You cannot get accreditation if there is no MOU. So that actually is safeguarding that no SDP will teach only knowledge modules and the practical modules and leave the learners hanging because of this component
Yeah.
of the workplace.
Yeah.
So it is compulsory for the workplace MOU to be there. It is actually guaranteeing that
Yeah.
the learners will be exposed to all the three components.
It sounds good on paper, but I'm curious to know where the difficulty is then. Because, you mentioned all of those steps,
Yeah.
and I think maybe people don't know, or your application will only be counted after your last document. Where are people going wrong in terms of, documents?
Yes.
Is it the fact that they're missing out perhaps
Yeah.
a clearance, a police clearance, or is
Yes.
it, where are people getting stuck in
Yeah,
the process?
people they are getting stuck in uploading the documents. Like I said, we'll keep on reminding them. So what QCTO have done, we have produced now this document. This beautiful document is called the Road to Success. So the Road to Success have got a checklist that is assisting the skills development provider. If you apply, these are the steps from number one until to the last. And the beauty of this road to success is not only talking about the accreditation, it's talking about all the domains or the units of QCTO, how qualification is developed, how to get the accreditation. After getting accreditation, how do you implement? So it is on a public domain.
you can apply for bursaries at the Services SETA website. That's a myth. You can actually apply to Student Financial Aid Office at public institutions such as TVET colleges and universities. Well, that's it for this session. We'll catch you next time on the Level Up podcast, where we make sure you get involved and become a part of the sector that's building the future. I'll see you next time.